Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 11 in season 22 of Be With Me. We're in the book of Hebrews, and I'm going to tell you a title today, then I'm going to tell you what this passage does not say, and then finally we'll get to the passage. Here's the title: Do not follow your heart, lead it. And lead it to the word and the words and the Wha-ohs that God has for us. So here's what this passage does not say. It specifically does not say, hey, just go about your regular, unexamined life, all alone, following your heart. Listen to your heart rather than listen to His voice, His works, His heart. Believe in yourself rather than the living God. Don't listen to the cautions of the people who have already been through the school of hard knocks, the people of God. Listen to the voice that says, you are amazing, rather than the voice that says, you can do better. And totally ignore the trickery and the power and even the existence of a concept called sin. Keep telling yourself that you're okay and I'm okay, rather than the exhortation that's available. Here's the passage. This is from Hebrews chapter 3. Therefore, the Holy Spirit says, today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion. These next four verses actually are all from Psalm 95. Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion, on the day of testing in the wilderness, where your fathers put me to the test and saw my works for 40 years. Therefore I was provoked with that generation and said, they always go astray in their heart. They have not known my ways. As I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. That's the end of the quote from Psalm 95. And then the last two verses, verse 12 and 13 from chapter 3. Take care, brothers, lest there be any of you an evil, unbelieving heart, leading you to fall away from the living God. But exhort one another every day, as long as it is called today, that none of you may be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. So, a couple of points here. We only have today, so let's be wise, be brave, be humble, be kind, be patient. We don't have yesterday, that's gone, and tomorrow may never come. The big charge about this passage is do not follow your heart, which you hear in our society today, but lead it into belief, lead it into the voice of the Lord, lead it into the voice of His word, lead it into the voice of His works, that is His fellowship, and lead it into history. Here we have this story from 4,000 years ago. Lead it into the humility that comes from an awareness of history, and caution our hearts to take care, not to say, hey, whatever, which is another thing you hear. Or another thing you hear is, I'm okay and you're okay, rather than the word is exhortation, which is you can do better. Charge it to do better. And it's not only receive exhortation, but to be in a place where you can give exhortation. Exhort one another. Have the courage to say, you are not okay. Rather than saying, follow your heart, charge your heart, and say, you can do better. Show your heart the book where God's voice still speaks directly, even in the first person, and involve your heart rather than saying, follow your heart. Involve it in the works of God, His church. Open the doors of the church. So do not follow your heart, is what today's passage says. It says, do not follow your heart, but to follow God's heart, to follow God's voice in His word. follow God's works in the activity of the church, and follow God's caution and exhortation. So rather than follow your heart, lead it to the Word, lead it to His works, and lead it to His Wha-ohs. So lead it to His Word. That's the voice of God. Lead it to His works. That's the people of God and the fellowship of God in His church today. And the Wha-ohs, well, that's His exhortations. That's exhort one another every day, as long as it is called today, that none of you can be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. So do not follow your heart, but lead it. Remember, God still speaks. He is not silent. He gives us the opportunity of today. He gives us the opportunity to hear His voice. He gives us the opportunity to not harden our heart, not follow our heart, but to lead it and push it towards His Word, push it towards His works, and push it towards His exhortations. And let's be humble enough to know that we are a people of previous hardened hearts. This isn't God's first day, and it's not the people of God's first day. So hardened hearts can be fought with a voice that is heard. And rather than put God through the test, remember His works that have been seen for them 40 years, and for our time, we have all their histories. And take care. Let's do this as a brotherhood. We're in this together. Successful spiritual people are never alone, but they put up the protection of more people around them rather than less. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's not follow our heart, but let's lead it, lead our heart. And where? Lead it to His Word, and lead it to His works, and lead it to His Wha-ohs of exhortation. Thank you for listening.